2, 3. You might move the flag. I might have my stuff away. Can you turn this TV on? Will it be the same? Will it be the same as that? Aaron had that one on too last week. It's okay. I'll look that way. Sometimes it was nicer to look. It was nice to look.
Okay, I'll check with you.
No, that's okay. No. It doesn't matter.
There she is.
Good afternoon, Tricia.
Good afternoon.
Hey, Tricia.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank you.
6, 7, 8, 10, 11. We're missing Alderman Bouchard. That's weird because when I sent the Zoom meeting, yeah, he was fine, right? Mr. Alderman Bouchard.
Mrs. Brown, she just came in.
There we are. One meeting of the Danville City Council. Madam Clerk, roll call to establish a quorum, please. Mayor Ricky Williams Jr. Present. Alderman Carolyn Watts.
Present.
James Bouchard.
Present.
Heidi Patel.
Present.
Bob Iverson.
Present.
Brenda Brown.
Present.
Michael Kane.
Here.
Mike Poor.
Present.
Rick Strabing.
Present.
Sherry Pickering.
Here.
Eve Ludwig.
Present.
Tricia Teague.
Present.
Aaron Trolia.
Present.
Robert Williams.
Present.
Darren York.
Present.
14 present.
14 present. We do have a quorum. It's so nice. I think that's the first time we've had a full slate of everyone here in more than a year. So thank you everyone for being here. At this time, we will have the invocation led by Alderman Brenda Brown, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by myself.
Let us bow. Our Father who art in heaven, we thank you for this wonderful day. We thank you for the new persons that have come to the city council to help serve and to continue this city to be the great city it is. We thank you for those that have been serving for long terms. We're just grateful that they want to continue to help. We ask you to bless our staff and all the administration that takes care of our day-to-day business. We ask you to bless those that have served and now for some reason desire not to or did not win the election. But we want to thank you above all for your loving kindness and how you continue to look over the city of Danville and protect and bless this entire city. We ask you to continue to give us wisdom and discernment that we say and do what's pleasing to you to help this city of Danville. We ask these and all other blessings in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Please rise for the pledge. Alderman, the flag is here. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
Indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
That was pretty good for our first time with this 14 of us doing together. Pretty close there. Good job, y'all. At this time, we have the minutes of the April 20th, May 4th, and May 4th special meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate? Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Lonz,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Bertel,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Streaming,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Proya,
Yes.
Williams,
yes,
York,
Yes.
14 yes.
14 yes, the motion carries. You also have the agenda for this evening. There being no additions or corrections, is there a motion to approve as presented?
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate? Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Bouchard,
Yes.
Bertel,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Streaming,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Proya,
Yes.
Williams,
yes,
York,
Yes.
Bonds,
Yes.
14 yes.
14 yes, the motion carries. At this time, we do not have any proclamations or board, committee, or personnel appointments. Are there any reports of boards, agencies, or commissions? Any reports of boards, agencies, or commissions? Seeing none, items of information, I just want to let everyone know that we did receive finally a little bit more guidance on how we can spend the Recovery Act money that we will be receiving sometime soon. There are some things which are good about it. There are some things which are very limiting about it. Hopefully we intend to digest that and come to you with some initial tentative proposals here in the meetings very soon. I also am pleased to report that it looks like initially we were going to get 23.2 million, and the latest release that I've seen has said that it will be 24.7 million. So we certainly won't complain about an extra $1.5 million. Madam Clerk, at this time, do we have any petitions, communications, or audience comments?
Yes, we do, Mayor. We have one from Aaron Biggs of Danville.
Thank you so much.
Your Honor,
Yes.
since we all received a copy of that, does it really need to be read since we've all read it?
Yes, it does, because it also needs to be stated to the community as well.
Okay.
So, yes, sir. This is from Mr. Biggs. Here is the updated public comment. To who it may concern, good evening. My name is Aaron Biggs. My wife Janelle and I have lived in Danville for over 35 years and at our current address for the last 16 years. In these 16 years, we have raised our 3 children with activities that we have continually done through the years, such as enjoying the outdoors via the local state park, by utilizing the trails, river, and campgrounds. During this time, we have also found a love of camping and have owned 6 different campers over the last 15 years. We have always stored the campers in off-site locations, especially through the camping off seasons. However, during the camping season, you may see the camper in the driveway as it is being used and needs to be accessible during camping season. This has never been an issue until here recently, in the last 3 years to be exact. On April 1st, we purchased a newer, larger camper for our family to enjoy and naturally we park this in our cement driveway. We have already taken it out and were able to enjoy the park for several days. However, on May 4th, 2021, we were given a warning from our code enforcement inspector, Rick Brown, citing the Danville, Illinois Code of Ordinance, International Property Maintenance Code 115.030E3, which states RVs, watercrafts, off-road vehicles, and utility trailers stored or parked outdoors only in the side or rear yards, excluding side yards on corner lots that adjoin public streets. This letter stated that we had until 5/17/21 to move the camper out of our driveway, and the purpose of doing so was to help make Danville a safer, cleaner, and more appealing community. Failure to do so could cause a possible daily fine anywhere from $50 to $500. I ask you to stop and think about your travels around town and how often you see a camper, a boat, utility, trailer, and yes, even a food truck. Chances are, if you can see them as you are driving around, these residents too are considered not compliant with this particular city ordinance code. Now, I also ask, how long have you seen these things sitting where they are? Again, chances are, if you pinpoint exact locations, they too have been there for over 30 days, which is, yes, against this current city ordinance code. So as you can imagine, there are some inconsistencies in this ordinance, several interpretations of this ordinance, and just a flat out non-level playing field across the city when it comes to enforcement of this ordinance. I'd also like to note that in conversations with other camper and boat owners, several of whom live blocks away from me have stated they have never received such letter and have always stored their items in their driveways, not even knowing this was an issue. I'm not writing to argue the validity of this, but rather to find a way that my family, like others, can still enjoy their campers, boats, trailers, etc. during prime seasons and not worry about being the target of an ordinance of choice for any particular neighborhood. We should be allowed to have these things parked in our driveways so they can be used and easily accessed. After all, please remember, all of these items require current and yearly registration and tags, so these are usually legally owned by whoever has them. Camping has always been a big part of our summer and fall plans. Due to the COVID pandemic that hit last year, camping has actually become a popular choice of travel and entertainment for many, as the comfort of our home can be taken anywhere you choose for enjoyment. As I drive through my immediate neighborhood, I'm able to see the truth behind this, as many houses have campers now parked outside as they prepare them for camping season with their families. Another telltale sign of this truth is drive through Kickapoo State Park. At any given time, you can see how full the campgrounds are. You may be surprised to know that just 4 years ago, you could pull out to Kickapoo, or any campground for that fact, and set up. Now, if you don't have planned reservations, you are likely to not get a spot at the campgrounds. After some research, this ordinance code was written and put into enforcement back in 1980. As with any rules or policies, I feel this particular ordinance just needs a slight change to help evolve with the current needs, wants, and demands of the city and the people that live here. I agree in that these items should not be permanently stored at your residence, and an actual storage location is needed. However, with the way the current ordinance reads, I am not allowed to have a camper in my driveway to prepare for a camping trip or clean it and empty it after a camping trip, especially during the prime season camping between April 15th and October 31st. And there may be several weekends in a row where camping is done and access is needed to the camper. With my concerns, I'd appreciate some conversations around this and inquire what can be done to help the families enjoy these items they have and use them to make memories with their families. If something as simple as camping or fishing can encourage families to be out in our community together, why are we penalizing them by not allowing them to have access to these things during the times that they are used the most? I'm open to help with brainstorming and work to come to a resolution. I even have a few ideas that have been discussed with several other owners of campers and boats. They just want to enjoy what they own. A few suggestions would be the obvious of amending the ordinance to state that if a camper or boat has current tags, they're allowed to be at your property in the driveway from April 15th through October 31st with no issues. A second suggestion would be allowing us to purchase a permit which would allow campers or boats to be stored at our property in the driveway from the same time frame from anywhere from $50 to $100 each season. Thank you for your time and consideration tonight, and I look forward to coming to a resolution over this issue so that we were able to move forward. Sincerely, Aaron Briggs. I just wanted to let you all know that Alderman York and I did have a chance to meet with Mr. and Mrs. Biggs, and Alderman York, I didn't know if you wanted to offer any commentary or feedback from that meeting, and then Chairman, Poor, I see your hand as well.
I think my overall impression of Mr. Biggs was that his concerns were legitimate, And he wasn't trying to be adversarial or negative or anything like that. He understands the purpose of the ordinance, but he also had some frustration with, and he is a neighbor of mine, and I'm very aware that he camps on a regular basis. So his frustration was in preparing the camper or cleaning up the camper, he would let it sit for 24 hours and then he would get a notice that he was out of compliance with the ordinance. And so that's what he was mainly articulating, is that he wanted a way to be able to access his camper. And he said he has no problem with storing it off site during the non-camping season. And he actually came up with these good ideas, I thought, about a possible permit, or if it's licensed and tagged currently, that it shouldn't be an issue. And when I after the conversation, it was an immediate issue. So then I started seeing boats and watercraft and jet skis and campers and utility trailers and all this all over the place. And so I think it's an issue that is relevant and it's going to impact a lot of people. So.
Thank you, Alderman York. I would just offer from my, yes, Alderman Pickering, I see you, your hand as well. I would just say that from my perspective, I think we do want to encourage people to spend family time together, but the problem is it's a balancing act, right? So one of the complaints that I've had over the years is people park their, dilapidated boat or bad looking camper in an area, then it stays there forever. Then it makes the neighborhood look bad. People have to look at it every day and they complain. We've had this issue in a number of neighborhoods, not just in one area, but literally all over town. And so, it's a balancing act. And I kind of like their idea of possibly getting some kind of permit, because if someone had to pay 50 or 100, I don't like to charge our citizens anything, but if somebody had to pay 50 or 100 bucks so that they could use it for their driveway, April 15th to October 31st, they're not going to, people that have dumpy equipment aren't going to go and pay the city to be able to do that. It's only going to be people who are taking it seriously. So I did appreciate that suggestion, because I thought it might be one way to balance both interests. Although I personally don't like the idea of charging our citizens additional fees to use what's already theirs. I see several hands. I had Chairman Poor and then Alderman Pickering and also Alderman Brown.
Yeah.
And I agree with Alderman York. I see these all over. My biggest complaint is when they're parked on the street and not in the driveway. And I think Mr. Biggs had some good ideas on permitting or whatever. I see food trucks parked all over different neighborhoods that are a lot worse of an eyesore than a camper or motorhome. So I think we need to visit this again. I'm like, say, 1980s when this was passed. And if we can get with Mr. Biggs and take some of his ideas and, kind of move forward with that, it might be a good thing. So I like to camp. I don't have a camper. I still do the tent camping thing, which at my age is not a good idea, but yeah, I think we need to revisit this a little bit or see what we can do to especially, we're coming out of COVID and families are so happy to get out to the parks and get out camping and different things. So maybe we can visit this.
Thank you. Alderman Pickering.
Yes, I have had people in my area that we've had complaints about, and I've talked to the inspectors. And if our attorney would check into this, what I was told, they could park in the driveway as long as it was not past the front of the house. Not correct?
That's
okay.
Unfortunately, that's not correct, Alderman Pickering. They have to, according to the ordinance, they have to park in their side yard or their backyard.
Well, and that the side yard on the driveway, as long as it's not in front of the house,
Oh, you're saying an extra concrete pad on the side of the house, Alderman Pickering?
Yes, that they could park there as long as it wasn't in front of the house. It was parallel, parallel to the house, the front of the house.
Gotcha.
It has to be behind that. So
Okay.
that's what I was told by an inspector.
Okay, that because it's a side yard, that is correct. If it's in there, but it's in their side yard, that being the
Yes.
pertinent
So
part.
so if he has a driveway on the side of his house, he could park it, you know. No?
He doesn't, unfortunately.
Okay.
Alderman Brown.
Yes, I was going to ask the question, when he received the citation, was he just parked there to load or unload his camper? Because I thought I heard Alderman York mention something about loading and unloading the camper. Why would that be a problem? So do you know, Alderman York, was he loading or unloading it at that time when he received it, or?
Yes, ma'am. What he's explained, I'm not an avid camper, so if somebody that's an avid camper can pitch in, but the way he explained it, it takes him a day or two to get his camper ready to pack up stuff in order to go on a trip, and then it takes him a day or two after the trip to unload it, get stuff out, clean it up, and for the next trip. And he said at the end of the season, it's even a bigger task. And so when you're winterizing it and stuff like that. And so, and I think that was part of his issue, was that he would have his camper, you know, in his drive for a short period of time, and he would get an ordinance violation immediately. So he felt like there was a little bit of inconsistency as well. So,
okay,
but,
yeah,
you know,
that's
he's
what I was
willing
gonna
to.
say. If he was, I understand what, you know, because it does take time, you know, loading and unloading. So that's when he received it, then, while he was loading and cleaning.
According to what he reported, yes, correct.
Okay. Did he say anything? Do you know if he said anything to the inspector?
But yeah, I believe he has a relationship with the inspector, and he has had ample opportunity to speak with the inspector. And I think that's in the letter that he wrote. There's just a little bit of a different interpretation depending on the inspector, which, you know, it's subjective. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Brown. Alderman York.
Okay, the other, because I actually thought in our initial conversation, Mayor, you had said, you know, part of the reason for the initial ordinance was that people were taking advantage of the situation, like you said, putting substandard equipment in their driveway and maybe having people live in campers in their driveway. And that's what we want to prevent. And I was made aware of a situation where it might be an ordinance violation that I could follow up on, but somebody who was living in a camper, and it was a very weird situation because it's in the ordinance. It specifically says you can't have your camper in a side lot in your side yard on a corner lot, and that's, you know, different than having it in a side yard if you're in the middle of the block. But if it's in a side yard on a corner lot, then it becomes more apparent and it's very evident. And so that was an issue I was made aware of, that he, you know, yeah. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. So what I'm thinking that we'll likely do is I'll probably have Corporation Counsel Simon take a look at our language there, see if we can't find something that would be a good balance. But I like some of all Mr. Big's suggestions, and kind of move forward from there with a proposal to you guys at our committee level, and then have it work its way through. So, all right, thank you, everyone. We do not have any zoning petitions this evening. However, we do have payrolls for May 7th and May 14th of this year. Is there a motion to approve those?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate on the payrolls? Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Patel,
Yes.
Iverson. Iverson, I think you're muted.
Yes.
Thank you. Alderman Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Hoare, Streving,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Troya,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Bonds,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
14 yes.
14 yes, the motion carries. Item 10 is the vouchers payable. You have vouchers from May 11th and May 18th. Is there a motion to approve those?
I'll make the motion we approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate?
Yes, I have a question, Mayor.
Yes.
On page 3 of 5, there's a number of, I'm assuming, intergovernmental agreements where we have paid court fines to other municipalities. I'm like, just because of my newness, I'd like a short explanation on what these fines are for, why we're paying these other municipalities.
Sure. So essentially, Alderman Teague, what happened is we have had some intergovernmental agreements, most of which predate me, with other municipalities, that's primarily smaller municipalities in Vermillion County, that don't have the capacity to prosecute their own ordinance violations. So we have an agreement with them that we do that in our municipal court, which is held downstairs here in City Hall. And then we receive a portion of the fine and they also receive a portion of the fine. So what we are paying them is their portion of the fine that they've received for the various issues.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Any further discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Iverson,
Yes.
Alderman Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Streaming,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Proya,
Abstain.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
You're muted, Alderman.
Sorry, yes.
thank you. Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Patel,
Yes.
13 yes.
13 yes, the motion carries. At this time, we will receive the Public Works Committee report. Chairman Ford.
Mayor, this is a long, lengthy report. We almost went through the,
Hopefully you'll take any of them together. that you
Yes,
can
I've got several.
During our committee meeting. Thank you.
yeah, we almost went through the alphabet. But 11A is a resolution award bid for purchase of 4 buses. Move to dispense with reading and ask for your approval.
Second.
Any discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Streaming,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Proya,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Patel,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
14 yes.
14 yes, the motion carries.
11B is a resolution authorizing repairs to fire department engine number 2. Move to dispense with reading and ask for your approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman O'Kane,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Streaming,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Proya,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Patel,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
14 yes.
14 yes, the motion carries.
11C is a resolution authorizing disposal of inoperable or mechanically unsound public works vehicles. Move to dispense with reading and ask for your approval.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Chairman Ford,
Yes.
Alderman Streaming,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Proya,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Patel,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
14 yes.
14 yes, the motion carries.
11D is a resolution approving the lease with Danville Stadium to Danville Stadium, Inc. Move to dispense with reading and ask for your approval.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate?
Just there's some great things going to be happening out there.
If I may, I'd like to make a couple clarifications before you vote, just so everybody's clear on it. At the bequest of Alderman O'Kane last week, he asked about should the insurance requirement be raised. I did contact Kathy Corson, and she said yes. So before that's signed, Mayor, I will get the form to the clerk that will be raised from 1 million to 2 million as an additional insured. And then at the bottom of it, Danville Stadium Incorporated, Rick Kurt's address was incorrect, and it will be corrected as well.
Thank you for those clarifications and updates, Director Carpenter. Any further discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Strebe,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Proya,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Pertel,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
14 yes.
14 yes, the motion carries.
11E is an ordinance approving the purchase of real estate commonly known as 814, 816, and 18 North Hazel. Move to dispense with reading and ask for your approval.
Second.
Chairman, with your permission, would you entertain a friendly amendment to include item F as well, since those are both for the same property?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, Mayor. Yes, absolutely. E and F, F is a resolution approving a trust service agreement with Fairgram for phase 1. And phase 2 of the environmental assessment of those. So if we can take those both together, E and F.
And Alderman Strebe, do you, Alderman Trollia, did you agree with the updated second?
Yes.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion? Or Alderman Pickering?
Yes, if Logan could just explain why we feel that this is a need for a potential redevelopment.
Yeah. So this is grouped in with 817 or 815, 819, and 821 North Vermilion, which is the bank, the old dry cleaner, and the old apartment building. And the derivative of all of this is 817 North Vermilion, which I believe was called Fonder's Dry Cleaners. There's a strong suspicion that there's quite a bit of contamination leaking from that site. We have phase 2 results back for 821 North Vermilion, which was First Farmers Bank, and there were solvents present on that site. So the idea here is to take possession of anything that could have any contamination and roll it into a EPA site cleanup grant and get it ready for development in the future.
Well, I can just about guarantee you that across the alleyway there, that empty lot is going to have a lot in it, believe me.
Yes, Alderman Broussard.
Yes, that's the location where they were taking soil samples this week. Is that correct? I've seen some. I'm sorry, go ahead.
The previous, that was actually grant funded through the Brownfields grant. So that was 817 North Vermilion, the old dry cleaner site, actually. This is going to be directly to the east of that.
Okay. I've seen some ones down there taking soil samples yesterday and today on the east side of Vermilion, where the old bank is.
So the Alderman, so the brownfield grants are basically, if you have a former property that was used, let's say for industrial purposes, it had a dry cleaners or a gas station, anything where there could have been some kind of chemical contaminant to the environment or to the environment or to the soil there, unless that's remediated, it can never be used or redeveloped with other new properties or businesses. So essentially, the whole purpose of this is to try to make sure that property that's all part of a major corner in our community and so close to the high school can be used and redeveloped in the future.
Okay.
Well, Mayor, I will tell you this: if Mike remembers, before the Walgreens store is where it's at now.
Yeah. Yep.
It was looking at purchasing all that ground, and the minute they found out that the fawners had been around that area, they backed off of it completely.
Yeah, it was so contaminated.
They had first rights to probably that whole block there, and it all disappeared. And then within 2 or 3 weeks or a month is where Walgreens moved to where they're at now.
Right.
Yep, I remember.
Any further discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Troya,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Bertel,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Streaming,
Yes.
14 yes.
14 yes, the motion carries.
11G is a resolution approving the pavement for repair of the National Street box culvert. Move to Spencer Reed, ask for your approval.
I'll
Second.
second.
Director Carpenter or Engineer Cole, for the good of the public, can you explain what a box culvert is and why we need to fix this, just briefly?
Yeah, I can actually answer that. That box culvert carries Cohen Creek underneath National Street, all the way under Main, where it actually dumps out into the VA compound. That culvert's approximately 6 foot. You can walk in it. Some of us short people can. And it partially collapsed under an individual's driveway. Therefore, it had to be repaired.
Thank you, Director. Any further discussion or debate?
Carl, is that, I know they're across from the motel. We've got the open drainage. Is that after that or?
Yeah, this was in the it'd be the 100 block of National Street.
Okay.
Between Cannon and William Street.
Mhm.
And yes, that culvert actually goes in underneath that area where we tore down the old Luxor, yes.
Yeah.
Any further discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Troya,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Bertel,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Streaming,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
14 yes.
14 yes, the motion carries.
11H is the resolution amending the fiscal year 21-22 Community Development Division 060 budget. Move to Spencer Reed, ask for your
Second.
approval.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Teague,
Yes.
Troya,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Bertel,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Streaming,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
14 yes.
14 yes, the motion carries.
Okay, if there's no objection, as was done in Public Works, we took a look, I, J, and K together. 11I is a resolution awarded bid number 668 for 2021 pavement markings. Resolution J is awarded bid number 669 for 2021 crack sealing program. And 11K is a resolution awarded bid number 670 for the 2021 seal coat program. If there's no exemption or no objection, I'd like to take those three together. Move to Spencer Reed and ask for your approval.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate?
Holidays?
I'm sorry, did someone have a question?
I have a
Okay.
question.
Yes, Alderman Pickering.
Yes, Carl, just a question. When the painting, the striping on Bowman Street at the corner of Bowman and Main Street, there's a raised median there in the middle. Will that be painted yellow because so many people have complained about that they've hit it?
I don't believe that that's marked to be painted. you might be able to answer that, Sam, but these are paintings actually in the road markings.
Okay.
That's something we could do in-house if need
Okay.
be, the paint's not gonna stop people from hitting it though.
Well, it'd make it more aware. Because you can't really see it. It's really blended in, especially at night.
Thank you, Alderman Pickering. Any other further discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Troya,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Bertel,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Streeting,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
14 yes.
14 yes, the motion carries.
11L is a resolution awarded bid number 672 for pump station improvements and authorizing a budget amendment in the Storm and Sanitary Sewer Fund number 402. Move to dispense with reading and ask for your approval.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Just quickly, a pump station, I had to learn this when I came on the council, is something that helps haul the waste away and keep it moving. So a pump station is a good thing. Any discussion or debate?
Is this technically part of the Northwest Sewer Project, or is this really not connected but in the same area?
It's not connected, but in the same area.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Bertel,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Streeting,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Troya,
Yes.
14 yes.
14 yes, the motion carries.
11M is a resolution awarded bid number 673 for 2021 miscellaneous concrete improvements. Move to dispense with reading and ask for your approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman York,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Bertel,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Streeting,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Troya,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
14 yes.
14 yes, the motion carries.
11N is an ordinance approving the acceptance of right-of-way for the Logan Avenue, Madison, and Chandler Street intersection improvements. Move to dispense with reading and ask for your approval.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Bertel,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Streeting,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Troya,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
14 yes.
14 yes, the motion carries.
If there's no objection, I would like to take items 11O and 11P together. They're both authorized vacation of alleys. 11O is an ordinance authorizing vacation of a portion of New Street for the OSF healthcare system. 11P is an ordinance authorizing vacation of a north-south alleyway near 620 North Gilbert Street for the Salimi Properties LLC. Again, no objection. I'd like to dispense with reading and ask for their approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Bouchard,
Yes.
Bertel,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Streeting,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Troya,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
14 yes.
14 yes, the motion carries.
11Q is items of information. We have 11A, the Garfield pool discussion. I don't know if Carl or Sam wants to take that.
Go ahead, Director.
I'll let you, Sam. You've got more in depth.
Yeah, I've been low on talking today. I got to get my chance in here. Really, the point of this, I wanted to give you an update on, last we talked about the Garfield pool, obviously was the time when it was, presented that we were going to have to keep it closed for the year. Since then, we have done some additional testing. I know there was a concern that there might be a void under the bottom of the pool. We have core drilled that and done some additional scanning there. There is not a void under the pool. There is some anomalies in the reinforcement within the slab there and some other just kind of goofy things going on right around the area of a crack that we will still have to consider this with, the structural engineer will have to consider it during a pool rehab. And do we need to do anything there? But it's not something that means that the pool is significantly compromised or anything like that underneath. So that was good news. The next step, in getting the pool fixed and opened is deciding, are we going to basically coming to a conclusion? Are we going to approach this as a rehabilitation project and use the existing pool and rehab the facilities that are there? Or is there council interest in looking at a, instead of that, at a new pool scenario? I give you my personal preference, but I don't know, I think that either would work out fine. The budget, the budgets are vastly different. I think the pool rehab is roughly 3.5 million and a new pool scenario is probably 10 to 12 million. So, that's a big difference. And really, I'm just looking for your feedback before we go through the effort of scoping out the design project and coming back to the council with an agreement to pursue one of the options.
Well, Sam, I'll put my 2 cents in and say rehab.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
I do not agree. And the reason is, we're the council now. If this pool's been there, 40 to 50 years? And then another 40 to 50 years go to the council because it was patched up, they're probably going to do the same thing. I know it's a lot more money, but if it's somewhere we could find more, I just think it's still a better move to go ahead and get a new pool put in there instead of the I talked to the mayor about this. I think that our city deserves better. Number one, we deserve better. We continue with keep patching up things and we keep saying, well, it's because of the cost, it costs more. But I think it's time, 40 to 50 years, I think it's time we look at something new. And I know talking with the mayor, we talked about the place that the pool is at. We need to maybe look at another location within that park. But I'm still looking at the new versus just continuing to rehab. And we can find the money somewhere. I know you said some in reserve. Mayor, am I correct on this? You said we'd look at taking some money out of reserves and try to find the other money someplace else.
Well,
for the repair.
the problem I think we have, Alderman Brown, is that right now we only have $7.5 million in our reserves. So even if we used our entire reserve to put in a brand new pool, we still
I didn't mean to use up the entire, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but we said we would use some of the reserve, not all of it. I didn't mean that.
Right. No, but the concern that I have is that rehabbing a pool with what has been proposed to us so far anyways, it would be like a brand new pool because everything essentially would be gutted and redone except for basically the structural walls and floor of the pool. But I mean, essentially everything else would be new diving boards. There would be 2 new water slides put in there. The bathhouses would be completely rebuilt and rehabilitated. I just don't know where we have to also consider, we have to tear down Brzee Tower, which is probably gonna have to be $3.5 million, because that's a direct safety issue to the public. And then, if we rehab the pool and tear down Brzee, there goes our reserve. And our reserve fund says we actually have to keep a minimum of $1.2 million in there. Ashlyn and I are hoping to raise it to $2 million. So really that means we only have about $5.5 million to work with in terms of our actual reserve. So that would be a tough.
Can we use any of the monies that is coming forth from the recovery monies? Can we use any of that? According to the guidelines?
We just received new guidelines a couple of days ago, so I haven't, I need to review them fully. I don't believe from what I've read so far that we can, but we might be able to.
Okay, I just, and then with this crack, you said, Engineer Cole, could you go over that again with the information you had on that, about this crack that's in
Sure. So, I mean, there are cracks in the bottom. Really, anything that you pour in concrete is going to develop some form of cracks in it. There is a crack. One of the cracks in the bottom, appears to have moved more over the years. It raised some concerns a couple of years back before I was here. They did a preliminary investigation and had concern that there was, some of the scans that they do ground penetrating radar, basically, is what they use to scan through the concrete and try to detect what's under there. It raised some concerns. We did additional scans and actually cored holes in it. And, there weren't any, basically voids underneath there wasn't any sign that the concrete is defective or anything like that. So really nothing that's presenting itself indicates that a rehabilitation won't be very effective and long lasting there.
How long is long lasting?
I was going to say,
So,
could you talk through the cost projections? And
yeah,
for the new I'll have Engineer Cole send you the projections that we received from the company as well.
Right, and I think some of the new aldermen probably didn't receive that email because that was prior to that. But basically, if you look at the rehabilitation alternative versus a new alternative, the equipment operating costs, the cost of employees, many of the operating costs are the same for a new pool or rehabilitation. The big difference is one pool has a new concrete walls with a painted a liner basically on it, and that paint has to be redone, let's say every 10 years. And if you put a liner on it, we're going to use, say, a PVC liner material, and you have to replace that maybe every 10 to 15 years. So that's going to be, a significant cost, but nowhere it's going to be maybe in the, I can't remember what they budgeted, maybe $150,000 to $200,000 for each replacement cycle. So even with multiple replacements, we should be able to get the same life out of a rehabilitated pool that we would out of a new one. The difference is you're replacing a liner versus putting a paint coating, on a concrete surface. The liner has its advantages because we don't have to, a lot of them come with the markings already on them for lane lines and things like that. So, I mean, there's pros and cons to both. I personally don't have any concerns with the rehabilitation piece. And this is just me offering, one of the ways that I think about infrastructure, and everybody has their own way of, looking at things. But sometimes what we do is take the information we have today and make a cost-effective, make a decision that will buy us. I mean, this can buy us 40 or 50 years if we replace the liner. But even if it only buys us 15 or 30 years, you've still only spent $3.5 million. We all hope that we have vastly different information about this community in 15 years than what we have today. And the decisions that we might make in 15 years are going to be vastly different than what we would make today, if all goes well. So to some extent, it's limiting the risk of making an improper decision for 30 years from now based on information based on today's information. And, that's just one of the ways I look at it. But there are many, many factors and intangible factors that go into something like this beyond just cost and stuff. But anyway, that's just my perspective. So.
Did the
Alderman
information,
Brown?
Pardon?
I'm sorry, Alderman Brown, did you have anything further before?
I just was trying to listen to see what, the other council members had to say, but,
Okay, your hand was still up, so that's why
I'm sorry. I'll
That's
take
okay.
it down.
Alderman T, go ahead, I'm sorry.
did the information that was provided previously, that we'll be getting later, does it outline the useful life of repair versus new?
Yes, it does. It outlines the useful life, and I'll also share with you the actual, facility study or facility kind of plan that was done that scopes out, the extent of the improvements that we're looking to make, where the money will be spent, the estimated budget for all of that, as well. So.
Okay, then I can't express an opinion at this point because I haven't read all of the information. So I'd like to be a little bit more educated before I express an opinion.
Well, one of the reasons I just talked about the revamping of it is because with what we just had with the fire truck having a new engine put in it, we may have to look for a new fire truck in the next couple, 2 or 3 years. So that's the reason why I said the rehab versus the other.
Thank you, Chairman. Sam, did you want to, when you did a 30 or 45 year projection, and what was the overall expense of each? If you could share that so that the public will know as well. Alderman, you'll have to study, but I want to make sure that the public understands preliminarily the cost too. And other aldermen, I see all of your hands, and I'll make sure that I acknowledge you.
Yes, okay, so here's what we looked at. I'm pulling up my email right now, and I can forward this to all you. Basically, over what did they look at? So from 2022 to 2052, which is a 30-year life. Basically, rehabilitation total cost, including liner replacements, at the 15-year mark twice, which really that gets you to say 45 years. Because you replace it at the end of that cycle. $3.75 million. The new construction approach with the painting of the concrete is about $10.45 million. So.
Thank you. Chairman Ford.
And I know the new aldermen don't realize this, and I don't even remember if it's been 10 years ago when we had to redo the drains for new federal and state compliance to make sure it couldn't suck somebody's hair down in draining different things. We spent a lot of money. I'm assuming that if we would put just a liner and then replace the concrete along the edge with the gutters and things, that this would last significantly longer, still be a viable pool and different things. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. I mean, basically it's replacing, part of the scope is replacing the entire filter equipment, in the filter room, upgrading it, rehabilitating the bathhouses and upgrading all the fixtures in there and modernizing everything, replacing all the mechanical, equipment and piping associated with the pool, replacing the drains around the pool, the decking, putting the liner in it, new diving boards, a slide, pretty much the whole works. The only difference is you're basically reusing the shell and, saving that. And even if we look at a new pool alternative in an alternate location, we still have something, we're still gonna have to spend money on the demolition of this pool.
Right.
And, doing something there. And, that's significant. And just another factor to consider is if we choose to go the new pool route, and I'm happy to support whatever, whichever the aldermen desire to support. I don't want to go the direction that's opposite of what your will is, because that's not going to get any of us very far. But if we were to choose the new pool route, it's going to take some time to go through the process of selecting where the pool should even go, developing the site and all that. And I think that you're going to it's not going to be on the same timeline as a pool rehabilitation, if that makes sense. Right. You could very well, we're looking at, a 2-year closure at this point, if we expedite this process now. And if we look at scoping out another location, it's probably going to be another year just because of the timing of things, which I'm okay with. I just want you to know that for your consideration. So,
Sam, if we did put a liner, would it be a vinyl liner?
I believe I believe they're PVC, like a
PVC
flexible
rubber.
PVC. And I think there's multiple materials out there, but believe that's generally what is frequently used.
So it would be basically a new pool when we were finished with it.
Yeah.
The liner, the
absolutely.
plumbing, the drains, the filtration system,
Right.
bathhouses, everything else, and for 25% of the cost.
Yeah. Yeah. Or a third of the cost or whatever. Yeah. 25 to a third. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Gore. Alderman Bouchard.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just.
I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong person. I'm looking at the wrong person. You guys are moving based on when who raises hand. So I'm sorry. Alderman York.
I don't know if this is appropriate. I don't, being a newer alderman, I was actually in a situation where I was just in the right place at the right time. I was part of a conversation. I did not share any, private information from, the city council, but I was listening. And so it was suggested that there was some conversation among leadership and maybe the board at the YMCA that they may be willing to do a cooperative agreement with the city of Danville. I don't know if that's, concerning a pool project, whether it be a rehab or a new location. And I don't know if that's something I can speak about or.
Well, I can tell you, I did have some tentative discussions with Ms. Linus, the director of the Y, and essentially all he talked about was allowing us to build a pool on their property, which I'll be honest, I would not at all favor that location. I think we need to make sure if we have a public pool that it's near where those who need it most are going to be able to readily access it,
Okay. And that's what, I was going to say is that I'm not against a rehab of the current pool because I think it's number one, it's cost effective. I think the location is accessible for residents in that area. But I just thought it would be an interesting conversation. But I mean, if you have further knowledge of a conversation that occurred, then that,
Right. I mean, essentially what he offered is that they could, we could build there and share lifeguards, or that they would consider, like basically training and leasing out some lifeguards to us during the summer if we chose to go where we are. But there would also be like a 20% administration fee on top of that. So having worked in a situation where we had leased sites and leased employees, it got tricky because I was, as the CEO, wasn't able to discipline employees because they technically weren't mine. So I very much appreciate the Y and the director thinking creatively, but I didn't think that it provided solutions that were beneficial for us long term.
Okay, I thought maybe they were willing to do a cooperative project and they may be able to bring additional money or finances to the table and grants and stuff like that. So that's why I was like, wow, that might be something we want to check into. But I see what you're saying.
No, essentially what he pitched to us was us building there. So.
Okay, gotcha.
Thank you. Alderman Patel.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Okay, so I just have a couple questions and then I'll put my two cents in. One is, why can we not build a new facility where the current one already is? Like, we can't just tear everything down and start from scratch, or what is that issue?
I can comment on, it's not that you couldn't, if you're going to tear down and start from scratch, if you're going to build the same thing, the rehabilitation approach is much more cost effective. So I don't know that you would, from an engineering or a capital planning angle, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. Not to say that the building and other stuff couldn't be approached like that. It could be, but the pool itself, if you wanted something totally different, it could be, you're gonna have demolition costs, and it's not going to save you significantly more under the $10 million, price tag, let's say, because of starting from scratch. So,
but there's nothing that would prohibit us from building where it already is. Like the ground is safe and everything like that, right?
I mean, we haven't done, none of this scope involves soil testing or doing anything like that, environmental stuff. I mean, basically, because we're not anticipating doing a lot of disturbance. I have no idea what the past history of that area is, other than being a pool for, many decades. So I really couldn't answer that question for certain.
And so I'm going to piggyback on Miss Brenda's comment. I too, that pool has been here since probably before me, or if not shortly thereafter. And I do too also feel that our kids and our residents deserve something new. Yes, of course, there's going to be more costs associated with that. But it's already been there for this long, and I don't see us, patching it up, putting a Band-Aid on it, that it's going to last another 50 years. So I just think that it would best serve the community if we did go with something newer.
Thank you, Alderman Patel. Alderman, okay.
Okay, I understand the money situation. I was hoping that maybe some of this millions of dollars that are coming from the federal government some of that might be eligible for this. I was a young bricklayer when that bathhouse was built and the pool was built. And I don't totally recommend remodeling that building itself. I know what the chlorine and the stuff will do that those inside of those walls, and the restriction of the plumbing and stuff is going to be a major headache. I don't know if there's adequate walls to replumb it and stuff like that. And I also look at the surroundings of that building, the factories the old factories and stuff that are falling down, the old roads that are getting very, very rough to drive around, the parking lot that is away from things. That's why I would like to consider a new one. I understand if we can't come up with money that remodeling, we need a pool. Our citizens it's an ideal thing for our citizens to have in the summertime. But I think we need to look at that, especially if we can find that money. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Alderman, okay. Alderman, Vice Mayor Iverson.
It seems to me that we haven't been discussing a third alternative. We're giving an alternative, fix it or a new one. The other alternative, and I'm not necessarily, in fact, I'm not endorsing this, but people have asked me, why does the city need a pool? There's a lot of cities have given up pools because they're expensive, they're ongoing expenses. Would be better off financially not to have it. And we've never had the discussion, really, if we want to continue in the pool business or not. Now, judging from what I've heard today, well, I haven't heard from everybody, it seems like we do at least want to proceed with something. And now it's a matter of whether it's brand new or fixed. So I don't know if there's anybody else who's had people ask them, it's expensive, it's ongoing. A lot of cities have stopped having pools. Is that something we want to do? And yeah, I would vote to continue, but I'm not sure. We haven't had that discussion yet.
Vice Mayor, Chairman Strebe, I do see your hand as well. I'll get to you in just a moment, sir. Vice Mayor, actually, I've had a number of people say to me, we love the pool and it's great and everything. Why don't you just put spray grounds in multiple parks? The Winter Park gets tons of use. The spray ground here gets tons of use. So I have had a number of people say, why don't we put spray grounds in more of the parks throughout the community, because they're cheaper, easier to maintain, then you don't have to have certified lifeguards and such. But I'll tell you, Personally, I advocate for a pool and having a pool. I think that's just a general quality of life thing. That if we want to be the kind of city that we hope to be moving forward, that we should continue with it. But I have had people say to me, why don't we just do spray grounds, a number of places? Then more kids would have an opportunity to cool off in their neighborhoods, although it wouldn't be quite the same experience. So that I have heard that. Alderman Ludwig,
It just seemed that we haven't really, we were right away into let's fixing it. We haven't really said whether that's the way we want to go as a whole.
Alderman Chairman Streaming, did you have a comment on Vice Mayor's comment?
Well, it's all a quality of life. And you have to give these children something. I mean, we remember the Illini pool when it was open and all this. Those are things that you just don't take away. And being over the housing authority at one time, those kids use that pool every week. So it's a quality of life issue. So that's where I stand.
Thank you, Chairman. Alderman Ludwig.
I just wondered if there was any discussion as to where a new location would be if a new pool were to be built.
Alderman, we hadn't had any, I mean, first of all, we would probably want to do a study to verify this. Just in thinking out loud personally, I would say possibly within the same park even, but in a new location. Right now, it's kind of surrounded on a couple of sides by industrial buildings, right? So it's not the most ideal setting for sunbathing and stuff. So I would possibly recommend that even, as a preliminary suggestion, where the old ball fields used to be there at Garfield Park, that maybe they could be there. But I would certainly think personally, it would probably want to be somewhere on the east end. We have a large population, unfortunately, at this time. It's a lower income. There are a lot of lower income housing and such on the east side of town, whereas other folks from other places and other parts of the town can drive there or be transported there or take the bus there. It would be harder for the kids that live on the east side to, let's say, get to a pool if we were to put it at Lincoln Park or something like that.
Okay. And then my second question is, if there were a new pool, have you ever thought of any way that you could generate income from people from out of town coming to Danville to use the pool? Has that ever been a discussion in the past?
So I don't know that we've had that past discussion, Alderman, but I mean, internally, we've talked about it some. I think the more amenities you have, the more likely you are to get more folks to come from out of town. For example, I think Garfield Pool is great for swimming and such, right? But we have a lot of families from Danville who go to Champaign because they have a newer water park that has a lazy river, for example, or that has more slides. And that's why one of the things that we have proposed here as part of this is I think in the initial, there are two slides. One is kind of more of a straightforward, but longer type of slide. And I think the other one is kind of more of like one of the circular ones that you see in other places, so that we could try to hopefully draw more people here without being, so extravagant that it inflates the cost of the project inordinately.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I still like to have something else to say if everyone else has spoken.
Oh, yes, Alderman Brown.
Okay, I don't want to go ahead of anyone else that hasn't spoken. Okay, I'm going to go back and let's do a little history. I remember when the pool was put in, and part of the reason that it was erected and put up there at Garfield Park, just as some of you have said, because of being at the east end of town, this is where the lower to medium income families lived. There were other areas of town that families could afford a swimming pool, in-ground or above-ground pools. Those children got to swim. They couldn't always, the lower medium income could not always afford a membership to the YM. They could not go there. They didn't have the funds. Well, one time you couldn't go if you didn't have it. It's better now. The other thing, there were private pools. At one time, there was the Elks on Liberty Lane, and then there was the out at the Danville Country Club. So if your parents or you were members of those private entities, your children could go there and swim.
And Sun and
Again,
Swim.
pardon?
And Sun and Swim.
Yeah, and Sun and Swim, right, exactly. So again, children on this east side of town, lower to middle income, they did not get to swim. They did not have the pleasure of being able to go to a private course. They couldn't because it was private. Their parents could not afford a pool for their home. Even myself, remember where we would have the sprinklers, and in your backyard, you can just take the hose and put it. That's the best we could do. And the excitement when that new pool was put in Garfield, because children from this and children from all over can go. I'm not just saying that lower and middle income children go there, but because it's at that particular area, it was an advantage for them to go there. They could also enjoy this quality of life of being able to swim in a pool. And yes, it's been there. One of my other points is, and most of your people in this east end of town have commented on it, how the East End has been neglected, not just that area, but the entire East End has been neglected by the city. So you hear this all the time. As an alderman, I hear before I was an alderman, we used to hear this in our area from the low to middle income, that the East End is neglected. It's the oldest part of town, so maybe that's why it's neglected. This is some of the conversation that goes on. One of the things that some families have got together, they go to the hotels, take their children to the pool there. So now things are a little better. Our children in the low to middle income families can go to the Garfield Park pool. And understandably, right now, they know, a lot of people, I've let them know in my ward and other wards that there won't be for the next couple of summers. And they can understand. But it's like the revamp is fine, and we know the cost effectiveness of getting a new one. But it's like, again, as one person told me last week, so we just get leftovers. This in the town, they're still being ignored. They just revamp it so the city doesn't think we need it. No, I said, well, it's not like that. Even though I'm for new pool, it's not that the city is thinking that way. But you have your citizens that live here that are thinking that way. And we don't want them to think that way. That's why I said, to me, a new pool, my gosh, I know it's cost effective, but if it can last as many years as the last one has last, and I know Chairman Streben gave the scenario with the fire truck, and I understand we revamped them, but they don't last 40 or 50 years anyway. But I'm just saying, for this particular project, we could find another area. I think if we take the time and look at this, yeah, it may take another 3 years, but I think it would be worth it to take the time and then to see some actual, I know Engineer Cole said that it would take some time. He knows what it would probably cost for a pool because of his profession. But I just think it's worthwhile taking the time to look at different areas to see if we could put a new pool in or what have you. But the idea of not having a city pool, I don't know what cities Alderman Iverson is talking about, and there probably are a lot of them. But for our community, I think our community deserves that. And if we could all, at all possible, let's not rush this. Take our time so we can have something. I think I said to the mayor, sometimes it may cost us a nickel more to go first class, but at least give the citizens the courtesy of taking the time to look and see if we can find space for a new pool, or if it has to be there or whatever. But I am against just revamping it, even though it costs less money and it'll be okay. I just, sometimes we just have to look at something new sometimes. We have to think of our citizens. And that's why the whole time that I have talked about this, I haven't come out like this, but I go back and I listen to the citizens. So that's my piece on it. I really would pray and ask that if we would think about this other than just being cost effective, let's look at how it will fill the hearts of some of these children that do not have this privilege to go swim in a pool.
Thank you, Alderman Brown. I appreciate that. I also think we have to think about it. If we spend $7 to $9 million more for a new pool, then that's also $7 to $9 million we aren't spending elsewhere. So the same people that, as an alderman, that when I was an alderman, and you and Mr. Williams that complain about the condition of the neighborhoods and the streets and the sidewalks and things like that. And that's also $7.5 million of that kind of work that wouldn't, that can't be used to do those types of things. So it's a tough balancing act, because I'm with you, Mrs. Brown. I would love a new pool. I think that would be amazing, but the cost is concerning to me. But I think we could get something that's just as nice for a much cheaper price. Alderman Bashar, did you have your?
Yes, sir. I am, first of all, I am for Danville having a pool. Right now, I am leaning toward a rehab pool. I think a city of this size should have a pool. It could be a drawing card for the future, but we need to prioritize our spending and make sure that we be our good stewards of our money and spend it in the right places at the right time. But right now, I'm just leaning toward the rehab, and I feel for everyone. I've heard everyone speak, and I understand where they're all coming from, but that's just my personal thoughts at this point.
Thank you, Alderman Bashard. What we will do, Alderman, as promised, Engineer Cole will get that out to you. That includes the study. That also includes the I think 30 or 45 year evaluation of looking into the future. So please be looking forward to those in your city email. And what I will do is I will bring this back for after the new alderman have had some time to process that same information. Then maybe we'll review this again at our next city council meeting and hope to start providing some more direction for our engineering staff. But we've got one way or another, sometime this summer, we need to make a decision about how we move forward. Otherwise, we'll cost ourselves even more pool seasons in the future, either way we go. So
you should all have that in your inbox now already. So if you didn't get it and you want a copy, please follow up with me. So.
Alderman Teague.
Is there information that can be shared about the details on why specifically the pool is closed right now? I see the Farnsworth study and the cost information, but I don't see anything in terms of exactly what the issues are in detail. And when I'm looking at the liner versus, the 3.7 million versus the 10.4 million, I have a lot of, I think, follow-up questions. So I think an understanding of what's wrong with our pool right now would be helpful. Another piece of information that I would be looking for is how much we have spent in recent years, maybe the last 20 to 25 years, since this says rehabilitation would take us forward for 20 to 25 years, how much we spend in the last 20 to 25 years in repairs and maintenance, not necessarily maintenance, because maintenance is going to be maintenance, but repairs with the pool.
Thank you, Alderman Teague. We did, Engineer Cole did do a presentation on that, and I thought it was on our website, but it may not be, on some of the existing issues we have now. And new alderman, if you would like, I'm sure Sam or someone, or Carl or someone from their team would be glad to take you over there and show you the condition of the pool. I was appalled. They told me last year during COVID that we should have closed it, and I told them, no, we can't. This is one of the only things people can do because it's outdoors and still be safe. And I'm telling you, I now regret that I didn't close it last year because it's in bad shape. And you can see where there are, holes in the wall. Alderman Teague, you were asking about rehabilitation, almost none. The main thing that we've done since I've been an alderman, I don't know about before this, so in the last 12 years, the main thing that's been done is redoing the drains and the filters and stuff. But as far as the rest of it, you will see on there, on the sides, that we have an old Roman, what's called a Roman guttering system. It's open. There are places where literally they are just pieces of like the concrete steps, the little cement steps that you put to walk in your yard. There are places where just those have been put down. There are places where just boards have been put down in their place. I think part of the reason why the pool hasn't lasted, it is in such bad shape, is because in the years prior, it was not maintained the way it should have been. Just plain and simple. And, there were fights. When I first came on the council, there were fights on whether or not we should even continue to have the pool. And, Alderman Streaming and Alderman Poor, I'm sure remember that. And before I was on, they were way worse than that, but we came to a place where we said, as Chairman Streaming said, that the quality of life, it's too important, we're going to have a pool. But then we never put the kind of money and infrastructure to it that should have been done ever.
And one last question that I have that I don't know who would be able to provide this historical perspective is, what was the useful life of the pool when we actually installed it in 1969?
Alderman T, I have no idea on that. I don't know, maybe.
I could comment. I mean, generally, like if you're going to, useful life really refers to, like, from an accounting standpoint, how much can you safely expect to get out of a pool? And it's probably 30 to 40 years, in that realm before significant reinvestment. That's not to say with rehabilitation and preventative measures, you can't get longer, but the nameplate says what, 1968, I think, when that was built. 69. Okay. 69. Yeah. So we definitely got our useful life out of the thing, I would say.
Okay.
But
that helps.
We pushed it longer than what we should have, probably.
Okay. That helps in terms of helping me lean one way or another.
Sure.
It's all in maintenance. If you do the proper maintenance, it's going to last a lot longer.
Alderman Patel?
Yes, sir. So my question kind of goes alongside Alderman T. And it just brings back a comment that was made about the houses that are dilapidated. So is there a clear and present danger to anyone entering the pool at this point, like today? Because if it's been open this long and nothing has happened, what's preventing the kids from enjoying it this summer, and gives us time to address the fact of whether or not we're going to rehab it or build a new one? So can someone tell me, like, is there a reason that the pool is closed right now? Like, has someone gotten hurt, or what was the emergency of closing it now, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
Alderman Patel, in the 3/16/21 City Council meeting, item 6D. Also, if you looked at the minutes from that meeting and or listened to the audio, that would be helpful, because there were lots of discussions on it at that time. But there are chunks of the walls that are coming out. The guttering, when you go to get into the pool, the thing you stand on, that should all be a certain thickness of concrete slabs. There are pieces of decking, there are pieces of boards, there are pieces of patio pavers. I mean, and I'm not talking about a few, I'm talking about like probably half of them or more are not what they're supposed to be. There are cracks in the walls where there are wall failures. There's the crack in the floor that Engineer Cole told you about. We had to take out one of the diving boards because it had rusted and was in such bad shape. And
I understand that, but it's been that way, is what I'm saying. It's been that way up until this point, and we still have continued to allow the public to use the pool. So what's different? That's what I need.
Can I comment on that, Mayor? Is that all right?
Yes.
So I'm just going to comment from a perspective of, since I've taken this position, we have dealt with numerous lawsuits for various things over the years. And one of the obligations that I've come to understand, and maybe our corporation council can comment on this as well, is that as a municipality, we have a duty to basically exercise ordinary care in the maintenance of our public facilities. And when we have known hazards and things like that we document, or that we, basically intentionally ignore, that opens us up for immense liability when something goes wrong, because we're not exercising our ordinary care in dealing with hazards and dealing with things that, we know are issues. And that's really what, a lot of that comes down to. That's not to say that you couldn't go through a year and nobody would get hurt, or you could have multiple people get hurt, but it's not something that I would personally and professionally recommend that would be a public facility in use today based on its current condition.
Alderman Patel, I can give you one example, because I said the same thing as you. I said, it can't be that bad, because I was just there, I was there in 2019 and they had painted and everything looked pretty good, When we were there, I went out and I wasn't thinking about it, and I stepped in the gutter at one thing and it broke, and literally I almost fell into the pool. So because the things around the pool are not proper, if someone were to do that and fall and hit their head and die or drown, or, we would be responsible for that. We would be responsible for their life being gone.
Sure, I get that. Yeah, I'm just trying to get to, maybe I'm not asking it correctly, but to me, it kind of seems like almost a double standard, because in one instance, we're saying, okay, well, these houses that are due to fall down any moment can't be torn down because of, all these legal proceedings and such and such and such. But yet we're closing the pool, and it's just...
Alderman Patel, I would tell you there's a huge difference, and here's why. We are inviting people onto our property knowing that it could kill them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Someone else has to go into breaking, entering, or get into somebody's dilapidated house in order to do that. It'd almost be like if you knew you had dogs that were not trained well and they bit people all the time, and you invited people over knowing that your dogs were going to attack them, versus if some child broke into somebody's house and there was a bad dog in there and it bit them. That's kind of the difference.
Okay.
Is that we are having people on our property knowing that it creates a threat to their life and to their safety.
Okay. I get it. I do. I get both. I would just say go out and take a look at it, because it is terrible. Oh,
Really,
trust me, I know. I was just at the pool last summer with my sons and my family. I know that it is in horrible shape. I'm not saying that it's not. I'm not saying it doesn't need to be repaired. I'm not saying any of that. I totally agree with everything that you're saying. I just needed someone to make it make sense to me why, if it's been like that up until last year, why is it now all of a sudden we're closing the pool? That's all I was saying.
We're trying to do what's right to protect our people. It's kind of like, a whole lot of things, and I don't mean any offense or not casting aspersions to anyone, but a whole lot of things have not been done right or properly for a long time, and we're trying to do things the correct way to make sure that we have the best quality of life, but we protect our citizens' lives and their livelihood too.
Agreed.
So it's trying to do better than, it's kind of like Alderman Patel the saying, when you know better, you do better. We know
Absolutely.
better. We know there are some major issues right now, so we have to do better. Otherwise, not only are we putting our citizens' lives in jeopardy, we're putting the whole city financially in jeopardy as well.
Understand. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Alderman Ludwig.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to beat this into the ground, but I just wondered if we did build a new pool, could it possibly be an income generator the way that Crystal Lake or some of these other pools in Champaign-Urbana are? Is that something you've considered or thought about? If we had a lazy river and water slides and all those things, just bringing people in from other cities, I don't know what kind of income is generated from something like that.
I don't know, because I know some of those places have foundations attached to them too that help pay for maintenance and stuff that ours wouldn't. It would be the taxpayers paying for it. I would have to do a little bit of investigation, to be honest with you. I'm sure we could make it into a place where we make money. I mean, from an operations perspective, Alderman Ludwig, our pool actually is profitable. The last several years, we've taken in more money than we've spent to operate the pool. However, what that has left us with is complete neglect of the maintenance, and nothing being done to keep the facility up to the standards that it ought to be at. So we make enough to operate the pool and to make a little bit of money, but not enough to take care of all aspects of it, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
But yes, we could, but then you have to talk about more costs. I mean, right now we're looking at a pool with a couple of slides and diving boards. It's going to cost us $10.5 million. So if we add now a lazy river, I don't know, but I would guess it's probably a couple more $1 million. So then you have to charge probably more just to try to make your money. And if you do that, then does that prevent the very children and families you're trying to serve from being able to participate? So I don't know. I don't have a good answer except to say, yes, we absolutely could do that, but it's certainly going to cost us way more money. And then how much more does that cost to maintain in the long term, et cetera? But it certainly is something worth considering. And we could certainly reach out to the folks in Champaign and Urbana and see kind of what their operations budgets are and such and how they're funded.
Okay,
to see if it'd be worth pursuing here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Ludwig. Yes, Alderman Pickering.
Yes, Sam, the things that the mayor was talking about that were needed repaired and everything like that, they would actually be all new, right? I mean, they would do this and everything that he said would be new, correct?
That's correct. The gutter system that's failing would be an all new gutter system. The decking hazards would be all new. The fencing would be all new, which kind of poses its own hazard. All the, ADA upgrades through the facility. It would basically be like a new facility where we use the bones. I mean, you can think about it like taking a house and you gut it down to the studs basically, but everything else is really, redone, essentially is what we're shooting for. And, some of the things, there are things that people have presented concerns about that we can certainly address through the design, even on a rehabilitation. Like, can we move the parking lot that's on the south, get rid of the parking lot on the south side and put in a bunch of landscape screening so you're not looking directly at the buildings? Yes, we can do that. Can we improve the parking? We're planning to put parking on the east side of the facility that's closer to the entrance. That's part of the scope. So there are things through the design on a rehabilitation that can make a difference. It's still not a new facility, so that's really just, preference, but there's a lot of those same things that can be addressed, through the process regardless. So.
I have one more question for Engineer Cole. Excuse me. I won't hold up the time now, but I'd like to know when you have some free time. I'd like to go through the pool house to see the whole thing. I know you provided pictures and I appreciate that, but if we could meet and I'd like to go through the pool house, the whole area, not just the pool itself, because the not just the pool would be the pool house as well.
Director, maybe, thank you, Alderman Brown. That's a great idea. And Director, maybe you could just reach out to all the aldermen and set kind of a time for a field trip for everybody that's interested to meet you over there, so they can kind of see some of the issues that we're dealing with.
Yes, I'll send out an invite to all the aldermen. I think it's a good idea. You'll be amazed at what you see, or astounded at what you see.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Corporation Counsel Simon.
If you choose to do that, then you're going to have to notice it as a public meeting with an agenda and all the rest of it, because, certain number, majority of a quorum would be present.
We can do it in shifts.
We'll do it in shifts. That way, everyone can still have an opportunity to see it. Vice Mayor Iverson.
Yes, after what Alderwoman Ludwig said, I was thinking the one in Urbana is connected to the school district. It's part of Urbana Middle School, I think. And it's a joint project of the city and the school district. I was thinking, couldn't we possibly look at something like that? Because we're talking about the area where we best have a pool, and Mark Denman School, used to be East Park, has an area there that could be used for a building. It would probably cost more because it's an enclosed building, etc. But if we made it really nice with lazy rivers and all that, we could make money on thing and serve a whole lot of people. And I think maybe we should talk to the school and see if there's some kind of joint project we can work out with the school district. I know that's laying one more job on you, Mayor, but I just think after what Alderman Ludwig said, I thought, yeah, that was a joint school and city project, I believe.
The school foundation and grant money paid for a lot of it. Yes.
Mhm.
But so you have to remember, in order to ever really make a profit, let's say we spend $15 million and we get Lazy River and all that stuff. You have to then make $15 million before you've actually had any profit. And it would probably take a little while to make $15 million, but it certainly can be done.
Well, Mayor, I don't see any more hands up, so that does conclude the Public Works Committee report.
Thank you, Chairman Poor. Now we have our Public Services Committee report. Chairman Streaming.
Yes, I think everybody received the packet from the city treasurer, Stephanie. Is there any questions for Stephanie on any of this?
Chairman, we do need a motion to put it on the floor
Oh,
first.
okay, I'm sorry. Move to dispense with the reading and ask for your approval.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Now you're ready, Chairman.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Wilson on the report that she's given us? If not, I guess roll call is in order.
Yes, sir.
Alderman Patel,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
Streaming,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Key,
She
Alderman
didn't
T.
hear you. I don't think she heard you.
I don't.
Can't hear her.
I can't hear you. I can see her talking. There she. No.
Alderman, could you please nod indicating yes or no?
There
Yes.
you go.
Thank you very much.
Troya,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
14 yes.
14 yes, the motion carries.
Okay, thank you. And I think that was the only thing we had on the agenda for this evening. We will meet next week, 5/25 at 6 p.m. through Zoom. And that's all of our report, Your Honor.
Thank you, Chairman. You'll be glad to know we do not have any need of closed session this evening. Items of information for the good of the cause, COVID-19 update. As you all know, the CDC has issued some new guidance stating that anyone that's fully vaccinated does not need to wear a mask indoors or outdoors. So that is one big change. They also have started offering vaccinations locally for school-age children, 12 to 18. There are guidelines on both the county health department as a website as well as their Facebook page if anyone is interested in getting their students vaccinated. And there are also plenty of opportunities for adults to continue to be vaccinated. So if you do wish to be vaccinated or you have a student, a child, or a grandchild that you wish to vaccinate, then please do that as well. Chairman Poor.
Yes, Mayor, for the first time since September of 2019, the Lincoln Park Historic District Neighborhood Association will have a meeting this coming Thursday at 7 p.m. at Friendlytown. Everyone is welcome. Alderman Ludwig will be her first chance to meet Lincoln Park Neighborhood Association group. So we're both going to be there. I know she has to leave a little bit early, but I told her that wouldn't be any problem. So look forward to getting together with all those folks again.
That's exciting. And one of the newest neighbors actually just bought a house there right across from the park as a good friend of mine who just moved back home after being gone for 15 years. And so she's excited to attend the first meeting as well.
Right, right.
Mayor, also the City Association is also, that's Wards 1 and 5, where we always meet together at Central Christian Church. I've been in contact with some of the people. We're trying to get that going. Of course, we know the late Alderman Tom Stone usually arrange those meetings, but we're trying to work and get that back in session, hopefully in June, but it's probably going to be July. But we want to start meeting again and
Brandon,
get back
can you
to
let
where we were.
Brandon, can you let Eve and I know when that is? I think
I definitely will. Patsy
it's
Jones
the first Thursday usually, isn't it?
The first Thursday of the month, yes. Same time as the Holiday Hills Association. It's the first Thursday also. But we meet at 6 o'clock at Central Christian Church. So as soon as I get a call back from Patsy, we'll work on it, and I'll be sure and let you and all the Ludwig know.
Alderman Brown?
Yes.
Yeah, the Holiday Hills meets the second Thursday of each month.
Second Thursday, yeah, that's
Yes,
right.
ma'am. Okay.
Thank you.
Alderman Brown, Mary Lou Stone said that she really appreciated you working with them to help get things back going again. So I just want to say thank you. And I think there's probably no better way for us to honor our dear friend, Tom Stone, than to do that. So thank you very much.
Okay.
Anything else for the good of the cause?
Here I have a point.
Yes, Alderman Williams.
I just wanted to note that Memorial Day is being honored on May the 31st, Monday of this year. This is a day that we honor all of our veterans, both past and present, as well as our active duty personnel. And with Danville being the site of our Danville Veterans Hospital, as well as our Danville National Cemetery, we in Danville should take pride in the commemorating that day, and in spite of all the changes caused by the pandemic, take time and honor the active duty personnel and veterans that have served their country loyally. This is a time for members in the community to take time to either fly a flag or thank a veteran for their service to our country. It should be noted. Thank you.
Alderman Williams, do you know if there will be a service at the National Cemetery this year? Last year, because of COVID, I think they just had but they did have a little parade, and that was all.
Drive-by. Yes, last year they had a drive-by, and I think that will continue this year.
Okay. Thank you.
Well,
I wanted to tell you all, we also had the National Commander of American Legions here visiting for the first time ever. We had a celebration inviting him here last week, and that was a really neat thing to do. I want you to know that I gave him on our behalf. We have some medallions that I found in cleaning out things of the city seal. And I gave him that on behalf of us so that they'll always remember Danville. And he in turn gave me one of his pens, which those of you who have ever served in the military, you know that that means a lot. So I was really honored that I received that on our behalf. So. All right. Well, thank you, everyone.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I just want to thank the Public Works, because last week we planted for our neighborhood group. We lost Mary Day back in the fall, and we had 2 trees planted. We had one at the tot lot, is out here in the Heights, and then we had another one at Ellsworth Park. And we put both those trees in the same day, and the guys were just, I mean, they went over and beyond to get it both of them done in the same afternoon. So I thank all them, and please let everybody else know we really appreciate it. We're trying to work on getting the neighborhood group association, getting somebody to run it, and we usually meet on the first Thursday over here at the church out here off of Warrington Avenue. So
Very good. And for the new alderman, I would encourage you, if we don't have any in your wards, we'll be having someone work with you on that. But I would encourage you just to go and visit it and kind of see what they're like. It's a pretty neat thing. I also want to give a quick shout out to our firefighters. They recently had a fire where there were a number of animals, including some young puppies that were inside, and they were able to get out all the pets alive. So Chief McMasters, I appreciate you guys for all that good work. Treasurer, did you have a comment? Oh, you were just cheering. Okay, thank you. All right. Having satisfied the agenda, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. I apologize, but we do have to have a roll call vote.
Vice Mayor Iverson,
Yes.
Alderman Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Streaming,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yep.
Thank you.
Fingers are up.
Toya,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Bonds,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Patel,
Yes.
14 yes.
14 yes. We are adjourned. Have a great evening, everyone. Continue.
Okay,
Great
everyone
evening,
have a great
everybody.
evening.
Take care.
Have a great weekend. Till we
Alderman
meet
Teague, we
again.
had problems with ours when we first got it going, so don't be upset. They'll get it fixed for you.
Yeah,
Have a great night, everyone.
yeah. Good night.
Night.
Night.